Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel. In this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. Of course, the most important and the most expected updates are coming from Avdiivka area. The battle for Avdiivka continues. The Russian sources reported that this night or this morning the Russians continue the bombing and storming of this area. The Russians continue using all types of weapons they have. The Russians were bombing this territory using, of course, multi-rocket launch systems. The Russians were using guided bombs, FAB 500, FAB 100 and 5000. The Russians were using the types of weapons like Kulmur missiles with helicopters and so on. So Avdiivka is under very pressure, under very heavy fire. But obviously there are going to be no fast victory, there are going to be no blitzkrieg. Obviously the battle for Avdiivka is going to take a lot of time and will be very bloody. But we got some updates. No matter the complete silence from both sides, either from the Russians and the Ukrainians, we got some updates, some details from different sources, and today we will discuss those updates. First update that we have and probably need to discuss is approximately the progress of the Russian forces on the northern flank of Avdiivka. The Russians haven't managed to enter the cities. Basically, currently, the Russians managed to maintain their positions along the tree lines, along the railway station, along the railways, and in the vicinity of the cities like Berdychi and Stepova. The Russians haven't entered the cities, neither Stepova nor Berdychi, but according to information we have, the Russians managed to get as close as possible to the city, and probably today they are going to try to make the first attempt to enter the cities and to storm them. During the previous night, the Russians were trying to dig in deeper and to prepare a foothold for further offensive operation. We got just one geolocation of clashes that took place during the previous day and night, and this I have added this geolocation softly, and the quality of video is very poor, but at least we are able to understand what is going on. On this video, the author of this video told us that this video was made somewhere in Avdiivka direction. As I understand, this video was made from the northern flank, and on this video we see a few armored vehicles and significant number of Russian infantry and troopers that landed somewhere in this area. Few dozens, up to 100 soldiers were landed under support and protection of armored vehicles were trying to attack the Ukrainian positions. They were continuing unpacking their armored vehicles, trying to get ammo, munition to prepare their attack orders, but something went wrong, and at some second of the video the Ukrainians attacked the Russian armored vehicles with anti-tank missile. So this is just the only evidence from this direction about the progress of Russian offensive on the northern flank of Avdiivka. Of course, this is not the video from Zaporizhzhia and Airfield when every single second another Ukrainian Leopard or Bradley or Striker was destroyed in many parts. This is just a video of strike, but anyway we understand that the situation in this area is very difficult for the Russian sources. The Russians from their side published just one video, probably from this terracon, from this landfill in front of Avdiivka coal chemical plant. On this video, this video was geolocated by some sources. On this video we can see how the Russians using anti-tank missile bombed and attacked the Ukrainian positions along the railways. As a result of that strike there was something like explosion. Maybe the Russians managed to destroy some armored vehicle, or maybe some trenches or shelter or something like this. But this video is important. The value of this video is that this video confirms that the Russians during the previous day and the previous night managed to get the most important goal, the most important objective. They managed to capture the landfill. This territory is currently under Russian control, and this is the highest point in this area, and this is the best position for the Russians to control the entire situation. Basically, currently every single street, every single building, every single road, every single street, every single brush is under complete Russian eye control. Of course, it will ease the Russian coordination and targeting against the Ukrainian positions in the cities like Semyonovka, Stepova, Berdychi, Orlovka, Tonenki, Lastочкino, Avdiivka itself. So from these positions, the Russians can control everything in front of them. They're not going to maybe attack, maybe they will, but to attack a chemical plant from the north, first the Russians need to secure Berdychi and Stepova. So anyway, no matter the situation, no matter the further development, without taking control over these fields, over this territory, there are no chances to complete the mission, the battle for Avdiivka successfully. Some updates are coming from, let's say, the eastern flank of the northern direction, and these videos were published by the Ukrainian sources. For example, on this video that also was geolocated by the Ukrainian sources, we see how as a result of probably anti-tank missile strike, the Russians lost another personal armored carrier. The sources are saying that this video dated not on the 10th of October, but somewhere on the 9th. So basically, the Russians started operation Avdiivka offensive operation a few days ago, but during the previous 2 days, the Russians were trying to concentrate forces and trying to redeploy them in this direction, trying to make less noise and less being invisible. Another interesting video we got from Novoselovka Drugaya. According to Ukrainian sources, this video also took place somewhere on the 9th and the 8th of October, right before the Russian offensive operation. On this video, we see how the Russians were moving from one part of Avdiivka direction to another. The most important thing that we need to mention is the very high traffic. So that means that the Russians started redeployment of their forces to the combat line right before the day of attack, right before the day D or day 0, how to call. On this video, the Ukrainians controlled that intersections of road, and as a result of first artillery strike, the Ukrainians managed to damage the Russian armored carrier, personal carrier, and we see that the carrier wasn't destroyed. The infantry managed to run away, to escape, to evacuate, and the only damage the Ukrainians managed to deal is to destroy another armored vehicle in this direction. Obviously, today we're going to receive more videos, more geolocations, more destroyed vehicles as a result of clashes, but probably all of us expect just the video of the Russian offensive operation, of Russian progress, because it is very interesting what exactly the Russians managed to achieve as a result of clashes for the 10th of October. Currently, it's very difficult to understand, but we know that today we are going to see more updates and more clashes, because we still haven't received almost nothing. We have received nothing from the southern direction and what progress the Russians managed to achieve by attacking from Vadiana in direction of Toninka. Obviously, they also managed to capture at least few tree lines in this direction. So let's wait. Today we're going to receive more updates and the battle is continuing. Now we're moving to South Donetsk direction. After the Russians probably had some failure while attacking Novomikhailivka, but maybe that was the purpose, to force the Ukrainians to think that this is the primary direction. The Russians continue clearing the city and suppressing the Ukrainian fire positions and radars and communication equipment using FPV drones. On this video, we see how the Russians managed to discover a small facility, small construction in the southern part of Novomikhailivka that Ukrainians were using as a radar or video camera, wasn't that, or some communication equipment, and the Russians took a decision to destroy this equipment, and this of course will allow them to will ease their next attempts to attack and to assault the Novomikhailivka from the south. So currently the clashes for Novomikhailivka hasn't ended. The Russians need to clear this territory to destroy and to damage the positions that were discovered during the first days of battle, and then they will continue and make another attempt to attack. When talking about Bakhmut direction, Artyomovsk direction, the Russians reported that they made a local offensive operation in the vicinity of between Berkhovka and Bogdanovka, and as a result of that attack, they managed to capture a few tree lines in this territory, basically to maintain their positions on this direction. Very interesting updates are coming from Lyman direction, from this territory. The Russians are saying that as a result of clashes, they managed to get another few trenches and shelters and fortifications of Ukrainian forces in front of Makeivka. The offensive operation in this area is very difficult, but if the Russians are able to take Makeivka, obviously this will increase their chances to complete and to, let's say, to develop these positions multiplied. The Ukrainians published the video how they were trying to stop the Russians during their offensive operation. For those purposes, the Ukrainians were using HIMARS missiles. On this video, we see how the Ukrainians were attacking and suppressing the Russian artillery positions, the Russian raiders, the Russian equipment, while the main Russian forces were trying to storm Makeivka. Currently, the situation in the vicinity of Makeivka is 50-50. Neither the Russians nor the Ukrainians are winning, but neither the Russians or Ukrainians are losing. Currently, the situation is very difficult because of very powerful fortifications that the Ukrainians managed to create in the vicinity of the city by the name of Makeivki in this area. So we'll see what is going to be next. Today, I believe we're going to receive more updates from this direction. Now we are moving to Bradley Square to Zaporizhzhia area, and today we also got some details, some updates from this territory, and currently the most important ones are coming from direction Kopony-Novodanilovka. On this video, for example, we can see how the Russians were bombing and attacking the Ukrainian infantry that were moving along the trenches from one position to another. This video is very important because this video allows us to understand the current situation on the combat line. And this video took place exactly in this area. That video was geolocated, so probably as a result of clashes and assault operation, the Ukrainians managed to develop their positions in this area, and as I understand, currently the Ukrainians control something like this. So this video, this map will be updated before the beginning of the next video. So this territory will be colored in yellow, and the Russians will be moved a little bit further, closer to Kopony. The Russians continue controlling the main supply roads of Ukrainian forces. As you saw just on the previous video, the Ukrainians were not using the armored vehicles and tanks. The only thing they use is infantry, under support of tanks that attack and support them from hidden positions. So while the Ukrainian infantry attacks, the Russian FPV drones try to search and to discover the Ukrainian hidden positions with tank and artilleries, and the Russians try to destroy them and suppress them. On this video we can see how, as a result of FPV drone strike, the Ukraine lost one tank. So one drone, one tank. Very powerful and very successful and effective attack from the Russian side. Now we have some updates from Novoprokopovka, from the northern part of the city. The Ukrainians published the video of FPV drone strike against the Russian armored vehicle that were moving between Novoprokopovka and Rabotina, which confirms that this territory, at least this corner, is not under Ukraine control, and this corner is in the gray zone, which is also very important when talking about the battle for Rabotina and the salient and fields between Rabotina and Verbova. Furthermore, the Russian sources published a significant video, coolest video probably of the previous 24 hours, the Lancet strike against the Ukrainian Su-25 aircraft that was located on the Kryvyi Rog airfield. During the previous months, the Ukrainians have already lost 3 aircrafts in Kryvyi Rog. We see that Ukrainians haven't solved the problems, air defense problems in this area. Basically, there is another black hole in this area that the Russians can destroy everything in this direction using Lancet strikes, Tornado S missiles, and so on. If we increase the number of updates since the beginning of September, we're gonna see that this airfield was attacked by the Russians for many times, and we got a lot of videos. For example, on the 19th of September, we got the video how the Russians destroyed the Ukrainian Su-24 aircraft using Lancet strike. Today we have the video of Su-25 destroyed by Lancet strike. So there are no problems for the Russians to attack and control this territory. The only Russian problem is sometimes absence of Ukrainian aircrafts in this area. As soon as the Ukrainians redeploy anything, at least anything, this anything would be destroyed in a few minutes. Also, we got very interesting updates from Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Today he was interviewed by the Romanian press, and he told us a lot of very interesting things. First of all, he told us that there are going to be president elections in Ukraine, and he's going to take part in that elections. He needs to get some approval from the people, from population of Ukraine, first of all. The second thing that he told us is that Ukraine currently in the final phase of the war between Russia and Ukraine, in the final phase of special military operation. He told us that Ukrainians are winning. He told us that Ukrainians would force the Russians to step back, and that the Ukrainians would return control over the entire territory. So this is the world Zelensky lives in. So we'll see what is going to be next. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes to my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.